This is one you guys have been begging for over and over again, and I finally got around to making it happen. Took me some time to put it together, but I found 3 wild stories that all happened during school lockdowns. These are all terrifying, unsettling, and in some cases, downright bizarre. So sit back, because this is going to be a ride. Story 1. I'll kill all of you. It was just another painfully slow Friday afternoon in calculus class. 7th period. You know the vibe, when your brain's already halfway on vacation because spring break is literally hours away. Everyone was fidgety, checking the clock, waiting for that final bell. Our class wasn't taking a test like some of my friends had to in their other periods, so our teacher, who was the super laid-back type, decided we'd kill time playing some trivia, games on Sporkle. He pulled up this brand logo quiz and the whole class was huddled around throwing out answers. I remember someone had just called out Adidas, and that's when it happened. The intercom crackled to life and we heard the dean's voice come through, but it wasn't normal. He sounded totally frantic, panicked. He said, "This is not a drill. Teachers, initiate lockdown procedures immediately." Instantly, I felt goosebumps spread up both my arms. Our super chill teacher suddenly switched into full-on emergency mode. He ran across the room, shut off the lights, and motioned for all of us to move to the back corner. For the first couple minutes, we just sat there in absolute silence. The only noise was the low buzzing from a panel in the back of the room. That kind of low hum you don't really notice until it stops. And then it did. All the power in the school went dead. That buzzing cut off, and we all looked at each other, like, okay, this is really happening. A few minutes later, that's when we heard it. Someone was screaming in the hallway, full-on screaming at the top of their lungs. 2 girls in our class immediately burst into tears. The screaming was getting louder, closer. Then we heard violent banging. This person was slamming their fists into the lockers. And then came the words, "I will never forget. I'll kill all of you." It was like time froze. Everyone was wide-eyed. Our teacher gestured for us to stay quiet. Nobody moved. Then, the banging shifted. No more lockers. Now it was our classroom door. Bang, bang, bang. One of the girls, who was already crying, let out a full scream, and that only made it worse. The guy started yelling, "Open up!" He was slamming on the door with everything he had. 2 girls were sobbing uncontrollably now. I honestly thought that was it, that the door would bust open and that we'd be face to face with a madman, but after what felt like a lifetime, probably only 2 minutes tops, the banging stopped. His screaming started fading down the hallway. Further, until we couldn't hear him at all. About 10 minutes passed before the dean came back. On the loudspeaker, he actually explained what had just happened, which was shocking because normally the school wouldn't give out any details. He told us that a mentally unstable man had walked into the school building and assaulted the front desk receptionist. She ran out screaming, and they weren't sure if the man was armed or not. That was all they knew. This was before our school had cameras or even proper security. The doors were pretty much wide open during the day. Anyone could walk in. Staff had done a sweep of the hallways and classrooms but couldn't find him anywhere. So the dean told the teachers to resume class. Yes, really, but to keep the doors locked and not let any students leave. But the creepiest part? One of the janitors on the night shift found the guy later that evening. He was sleeping in a storage closet near the back of the school. Word spread fast that something had been sticking out of his coat pocket. A .44 Magnum, supposedly. Now this is just rumor, but according to what people were saying, the janitor accidentally left the door open while trying to get help. And by the time the cops showed up, the guy was gone. To this day, nobody knows for sure if he was ever caught. I try to believe that he got the help he needed, but I also can't shake the idea that he might still be out there somewhere. Story 2. Halloween warning. At my middle school, lunch was split up into 2 periods. The first lunch was for 6th graders and half the 7th grade. The second lunch was the other half of 7th and all the 8th graders. The day this happened, I was in first lunch, early October. It was one of those gloomy, rainy days. Typical fall mood. We were just hanging out in the cafeteria when we suddenly heard 4 loud bangs outside. At first, I assumed it was thunder. But then the entire room exploded into chaos, screaming everywhere. I thought, okay, these kids are just overreacting. Until the campus security rushed in, yelling at everyone to get into the multi-purpose room. Fast. If you were still in line for lunch, you had to drop your tray and go. No questions. Just go. Me and some of my friends joined this huge crowd getting herded into the multi-purpose room. It's a big space like gym-sized, and one entire wall was made of glass windows. As we rushed in, staff started pulling the curtains across that wall and locking down the exits. It felt like something serious was going down. Everyone was whispering, trying to figure out what was going on. My friend Eric went up to one of the adults to ask. When he came back, he looked pale. "You know those houses across the street from school?" he asked. "Some guy who lives there barricaded himself inside. He's threatening to shoot himself. And the police, if they try to evict him." I didn't even know how to react. Eric continued. He was walking around outside earlier, watching the kids, like staring. It was creepy. It got worse. Turns out the guy was a registered sex offender. The school had found out when they checked his background later on. At the time, nobody knew what he might be capable of. We ended up locked in that room for over an hour, long enough to take up 2 whole class periods. Eventually, staff started escorting us back to our classrooms, one group at a time. Later that day, my friend Brandy, who lived right next to that guy, told me something that still gives me chills. Apparently, the previous Halloween, she saw him at his window, slicing his own arm open. He was writing something on the glass in blood. It said, "Don't come here, or I'll kill you." Everyone assumed it was just some messed up Halloween decoration. That's how much people normalize weird stuff during that time of year. But after this incident, we all knew better. This guy wasn't pretending. He was genuinely unwell. Thankfully, he never got on campus. But we were just a few steps away from a tragedy. Story 3. Downstairs in the dark. So here's something different. I was already out of school when this happened. I had just graduated college and landed a job back at my old high school, working as a kind of IT assistant. My office was in the basement, and while the basement itself was cluttered and messy, our office space was super nice. We had 3 huge desks, a couple of mini fridges, a big flat-screen TV, and best of all, air conditioning. That was a big deal in a school where most of the classrooms didn't even have working fans. The reason I got the job was thanks to 3 of my old computer teachers who absolutely loved me when I was a student. They helped me get in, and honestly, it had been a great gig until one terrifying day. It was around lunchtime. My co-workers Dave and Gary were both upstairs doing something admin-related. I was down in the basement alone eating a sandwich when I got a call from the front office. The woman on the line said, "We're in lockdown, possibly armed intruder in the building. Turn off your lights and stay put." I froze. The basement office didn't even have a real door, just a big open entryway, and the main door to the basement didn't even lock. So all I could really do was kill the lights and shut down my computer screen. I pulled out my phone, texted both Dave and Gary, but neither of them responded. I ended up sitting in the dark playing some mindless game on my phone, just waiting for the all clear. Then, the door upstairs creaked open. The sound echoed down into the basement like something out of a horror movie. Footsteps followed, heavy, fast. Someone came running down the stairs. I didn't know if it was Dave, Gary, a cop, or the intruder. Slid under my desk and stayed as quiet as I could. Whoever it was walked into the office but didn't turn on the lights. Just silence. My heart was pounding. I literally felt frozen in place, trying not to breathe too loud. And then, ding, my phone went off. It was a text, loud, echoing, deafening in the silence. Footsteps moved toward me. I couldn't take it anymore. I leapt up from under the desk and shouted, "Please don't hurt me, don't shoot." That's when a guy grabbed me by the arm and pulled me up. He looked totally normal. Red flannel shirt, jeans, baseball cap. He said, "It's okay, I'm just hiding down here too." I was confused and terrified. He whispered, "What's going on up there?" But when I asked who he was, he didn't really answer. Just said he was here to pick up his son and that a teacher told him to hide. That's when I looked at my phone. The text I had just received, it was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is insane. Some guy with a gun just shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and hat. Don't come upstairs." My stomach dropped. I glanced up at the man, red shirt, hat, jeans. He noticed me looking. I think he knew I figured it out. Without saying anything else, I bolted for the stairs. Bang. Gunshot. Echoed through the basement. I heard it ricochet off something metal behind me. Thank God he missed. I made it up the stairs and ran straight into 2 police officers. They were already covering all exits, including the basement one. They caught him as soon as he tried to leave. The good news? Mr. Buckley survived. He got shot but pulled through. We never got a full explanation, just that there was apparently some kind of personal beef between him and the shooter, but nobody knows what it was about. All I know is that the sound of that gunshot, it's burned into my brain. Forever. That's it. 3 real stories of lockdowns that didn't feel like drills, because they weren't. Whether it's an intruder roaming the halls, a threat outside the building, or someone hiding in plain sight. These situations stick with you. They change you. And if you've ever been through a lockdown or have a story of your own, drop it in the comments. I'd love to read them. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.